we're back. This is a Comic Culture Warrior YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us here. We are now at the point that we call Last Rants. And Last Rants is when we either, revisit a topic that we've covered in the series of segments or previous segments, or go on to something completely new. This is something new, something that came up just recently as a result of, something I read on Rich Johnston's new blog or new website, bleedingcool.com. Before we get into it, though, I do want to preface this. Wolverine, Ultimate Wolverine vs. Hulk number 6 finally came out, concluding a series that started, 4 years ago? Whatever. What a letdown is all I'm going to say. What a letdown. This probably had to be one of the most anticlimactic books I've ever read. That would be like me concluding Ash Saves Obama with Ash having tea with the Deadites. Would have been kind of the way it would have been. So, needless to say, Damon Lindelof, you're a much better writer than this, and for all the hype that book got, and for as long as we had to wait for it, for that to be the conclusion, dude, man, I want my money back. So that's all I can say. And speaking of money, and speaking of the hard-earned dollars that comic book readers spend every week, Marvel Comics is going to be spending this week pretty much carpet bombing your local comic shop. There's no other way to say it. They are going to choke the local comic shop with, I don't know if you ask me, I think it's an unprecedented 39 books will be coming out on the Wednesday ahead of this book ahead of this
24th.
Day, the 24th, right? I'm just astounded that when you have some weeks when Marvel has nothing coming out, a handful of things, they are going to put out again 39 books. What does that mean if you are someone... Oh, and I'm sorry, how many Dark Reign tie-ins are they going to be releasing that day, too?
Glad you asked me, Elliot. I'm going to tell you. So, you have... Not only do you have Dark Avengers, or not only do you have New Avengers, Avengers Initiative, and Dark Avengers all shipping, you also have Dark Avengers Uncanny X-Men Utopia number 1, and then you also have Dark Wolverine, and then you also have... Dark Reign Accept Change trade paperback, which is a prequel, which kind of leads into this whole Dark Reign stuff. And then you have Dark Reign. Alright, I don't want to miss one here. Not that I can. Dark Reign Elektra, Dark Reign Hood, Dark Reign Lethal Legion, Dark Reign Sinister Spider-Man, and Dark Reign Zodiac. All Dark Reign mini-series. And on top of that, this week, we had Dark Reign Fantastic Four, Dark Reign Hawkeye, Dark Reign Young Avengers, and Dark Reign Mr. Negative.
That's friggin' impossible.
So on top of all those Dark Reigns, like I just said, you have 3 Avengers books coming out. God damn, there's so much. It's really... And this is a thing that kills me. Marvel does this all the time. They can never fucking get their schedule straight. Because sometimes you'll have no Avengers books come out, and then sometimes you'll have all 5 of them come out
on the same week.
Yeah, and on top of all those books, besides Dark Wolverine, you have X Factor, you have X Force, you have X-Men Forever. It's like all these X-Men books coming out on top of it. Wolverine Weapon X, Wolverine Noir, Wolverine First Class. It's like fucking. Are you kidding me? Oh,
it
man.
is.
And it's not the fact that we're complaining that they're all coming out, which is going to be good for comic shops. But they're all coming out on the same fucking day.
Same day. Which means you're going to have to choose. I mean, there's no way you can possibly... I mean, unless you're...
In every one of those Dark Reign books that I mentioned, they're all $3.99.
Oh.
Every single one of the Dark Reign books that I mentioned are all $3.99.
Yeah. So I was going to say, unless you're Avi, who lives in a mansion. You're not going to be able to buy all those books.
I mean, and the Dark Wolverine is $3.99. Dark Avengers is $3.99. Dark Avengers, Uncanny X-Men, Utopia is $3.99. New Avengers is going to be $3.99.
Yeah, although
if you love $3.99 fucking comics, man, this is the week for you.
No, and this is going to be an interesting little social experiment, if you ask me. Marvel is putting out a whole lot of $3.99 books on the same day. Yeah. Are sales going to dip, or are they going to stay the same?
Well, I think for this day, they might stay the same, but I bet you're going to have a ton of customers being like, how much was that?
Well, you know what? But then, that's on the consumer too, because if people are going to walk, I mean, yeah, this is an interesting thing too, especially when it comes to comic books. What other thing do you go into a store to buy, and when you're in the checkout, you don't even look at what the price of it is?
Yeah.
I mean, what is it about the comic book culture where we'll just pick up the book and then we get to the checkout and we'll go, what? It was $3.99. And you know what? I'll be saying, and I'm guilty of that too. I've done that myself, where I'll pick up a book and I don't even really look at the cover price until I come to actually check out. And you guys are ringing me up, and I'm like, wait, how much was that book?
Yeah, there's a couple of commenters who picked up Punisher last week who said that in our comments, like, it was $3.99. They didn't even realize it until they got it home.
Yeah.
And you already paid for it.
So where else do you do that? I mean, I know I don't do that at the record store, when I'm buying my DVDs or my CDs, when I'm buying clothes, when I'm buying anything else, even my entertainment items. If I'm buying a video game, if I'm buying a book, I always check the price. And yet with comic books, we don't seem to do that. And now I think Marvel is pushing it. They're trying to see if we really push all these books out there, will they sell? And another interesting comment that was made, not on our boards, but on the Rich Johnston site. Marvel is putting out all these Dark Reign books. Really, these minis, how are they going to sell? Are they really going to sell the kinds of numbers that a regular series should? Because how can Marvel justify putting out these $3.99 minis and yet cancel Captain Britain? Okay? Aren't they kind of taking from Paul to give to Peter, or vice versa, by putting out all this product and almost burying their own stuff? Because when you put out all these books, you're really not giving the average reader a chance to catch on to something and really let it build.
Well, on the flip side also is that is all this glut of shit coming out gonna stop people from buying other company books this week?
Oh,
because this week you have End League is coming out, which is going to get lost in that shuffle easily from Dark Horse. You have the new Empowered volume coming out from Dark Horse. You have Detective Comics, which is the first Greg Ruck, J.H. Williams Batwoman. That might get lost in there somewhere. And you have all these books. I mean, Green Lantern's coming out. There's a lot of other books besides the Marvel stuff. They're all really solid books. But I wonder if they're just not going to make the cut because everyone's been buying all the Marvel shit. It's going to take them all their money this week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
it's not. And I'm guilty of this too. But it's one of those things that the comic guys aren't going to wait till next week. They're not going to be like, oh, I'll wait till I get this next week because they need to have it now. And I'm not blaming anybody for that, but that's going to be the reality is that they need to have this stuff now. And there's just some things that just aren't going to be able to. Mm-hmm. Not going to be able to pick everything up.
Well, that's just Marvel being able to dominate the market, though. I mean, that's something you.
And this is why they dominate the market, and this is why they have market share because they have the higher priced books. And
higher priced books and the most product,
and yeah.
We've talked about that in the past, though. Marvel does put out the most product for a comic book company,
and they have the most expensive comic books.
Most expensive comic books, and by them doing this and forcing DC's market share down or forcing independence, I mean. In a capitalist society, you can't fault them for that. That's fine.
I agree.
I'm taking the tack, though, that by doing so much of this stuff, they're actually hurting some of their own books.
Yeah.
You can only have so many top-selling books, and if you have, we've talked about this in the past. If you have so many Deadpool and Wolverine books, some of the really good stuff, the other stuff that doesn't get, people aren't going to take a chance on that because they'd rather go with the Wolverine book. They'd rather pick up the Deadpool book. That's not to say that, maybe I came across as saying I don't like Deadpool. No, I love Deadpool. We've talked about the books. We've never ripped the Deadpool book. They're fun books,
right.
And I don't begrudge anyone buying them and enjoying them. But when you put out so much crap, you keep going back to the same well over and over and over again. That's a very short-sighted strategy, especially when you want to bring in new readers and bring in mainstream readers. You know, we're making the current comic book club more and more insulated, you know, and we're going back to the same fans over and over and over again, and that's what's hurting the industry. Marvel trying to force out DC out of the market share is going to hurt the industry. Right. And in the end, it's going to hurt Marvel.
But at the same time, though, it's like I just had mentioned, it's like there's 4 Dark Reign minis that came out, and there's like another 7 starting up this week. Why couldn't they just do like 3 a week? Like, even if they did 3 a week, at least it didn't look like they were slapping you in the face with their dicks. I mean, this is just, it's in your face. You can't not help but notice this. When you go to the comic shops, if you're a retailer is putting all the Dark Reign stuff together, all the minis, you're going to see 9 fucking Dark Reign books all in a row. And you're going to be like, what the fuck?